So here's our pretty kit, hot off the press.
Okay.
Yep.
Right.
And that's the infamous form.
That's the form I got to fill out.
That's the form. With the $100 registration fee. So here you go. Take your time.
All right.
Okay? And I'll be back.
Thank you.
Just give me a shout out.
All right. There we go. And we're going to complete this. And I suppose I could do this while I'm videotaping. Nominated for the office of Mayor. There it is. Mayor. Okay, that's it.
First
We're
in,
done.
do you solemnly declare this information to be true?
Oh, absolutely. Okay.
You are all done.
Good.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And don't forget your card.
Thank you.
That's your kit. And like always, if you have any questions, Ursula, feel free to call me, email me.
Yep.
And congratulations.
Thank you. I'm not sure what I'm congratulated for. I'm just $200 later. But it is Monday, January the 4th, 2010, and I'm here at the Mississauga City Clerk's office under the watchful gaze of 2 video surveillance cameras, and I've just completed a nomination for mayor for 2010. I won't actually call it running for mayor. I think it's more like an out-the-gate stumble. I'm more interested in researching municipal elections, and I can't think of a better way than actually running for one. And I'm particularly interested in how traditional media will handle this. I have in the past on my blog been highly critical of traditional media as being champions of small causes or simply being stenographers. In other words, just writing down uncritically anything that a politician or a city official says. And as I've also been saying, the vast gulf that exists between what is claimed by the city of Mississauga and what freedom of information confirms. So, won't be spending any money on this. I spend enough on freedom of information, and I figure every dollar I spend towards my campaign is $5 that I can't file right here at this desk. Far more important for me to continue the research and study rather than pretend like I've got a chance, okay? The other thing is that I'm almost certain is the kind of criticism that I'm going to draw, and it's going to bring out the what are euphemistically called the Friends of Hazel. So I don't anticipate this to be an issue-driven election because it hasn't been in the past, and the city of Mississauga has been very successful avoiding issues for 30 years. The issue for me, the number one issue, is a lack of accountability at the municipal level. Absolutely appalling. The accountability structure and framework. There is, I mean, it's ostensibly there. It just isn't enforced or even. I guess I'm a one-issue candidate, and that is simply help.
During the course of the audit, we work with management so that there's no surprises at the end of the audit. We don't just simply give an audit report and say, surprise, like, I mean, these are all observations we've made and concerns that we have. We sit down with management as we go through the audit and say exactly what our concerns are so that they have time to address them. And as you can see, by the end of June of this year, 5 of the 7 recommendations will be completed. And also the formal vendor evaluation criteria will be developed by mid-2010.
But on that point,
George. Yeah.
On that point, there was a procedure set up years ago for vendor recognition. Did you find any trace of it?
It's just an informal vendor performance review right now. It's an ad hoc thing. It's not even, there's no formal process in there. Now, first thing
There was a policy established that every vendor, and especially on major contracts, that when we had bad experience, and we have had some bad experience, there was a policy established years ago that the vendor would be categorized, and in fact some would be cut off for future contracts. Did you find no trace of it?
No, it's not.
The answer is no.
Well, it was set up, I can tell you.
I remember the discussion.
Do you remember?
I remember the discussion.
Some of you have been around a while would remember. It was set up, so obviously it got lost in the shuffle somewhere. Because we ran into some bad examples. And that's when we set up the policy. That's years ago, that's not 10 years ago. Would I be right? At least. So where did that, what happened to it?
There is some mention in the purchasing bylaw where we would be able to, or the purchasing agent has the authority to prevent a bidder from bidding in future contracts, but we have not been able to find any detailed processes relating to what you're talking about.
Okay.
Maybe that we should look into, I guess, for the future, because I remember the discussion.
That's what the recommendation is.
I get a little frustrated as mayor that we set up policies and then they're not followed, and that's what bothers me. Because I was in the business, in the private sector, handling millions of dollars of contracts. And it's been something I've been promoting as control of contracts. And that policy was set up because we ran into one that were behind $2 million, I remember. Anyway. So now we're going to set one up. Fine.
Yeah.
If we set one up, it better be followed. That is the key. No use setting them up if it's not going to be followed. You know, I don't know why there's such disregard for policy.
It's not just transit, it's purchasing.
Yeah, but that is a policy that has come up in regard to a lot of things recently. That the procedures in line, this doesn't have the procedure. The procedure's in line, but staff doesn't follow the policy. And, you know, we've had a few of those this year.
You understand my
Same.
The other point I need some elaboration on is, perhaps I misunderstood it, but some with no written estimates or appraisals or when you do work where there isn't a paper trail that says this is what was expected. Is that internal to us or is that with third parties outside? In other words, within our own department, we're saying do this to the wheels, do that to, I understand. But we're tendering out work, we're asking work to be done and there isn't a paper trail. Like I'm getting my car repaired and I don't get an appraisal. Can somebody elaborate on that for me? Did I just understand?
Yeah, that's my understanding from the work. It's done verbally and it's agreed.
Okay. See, Madam Mayor, on its face, you hear, I mean, we don't run our lives like that. I really know that, you know, if you're doing certain years of invoice here, but I want to make a fine point. Is that internal to us? So is that one of my employees saying, I've brought in the bus, this has to be done to the wheels, and one of our internal, don't worry, I'll get the wheels retreaded or whatever. Or are we going to private third parties and getting work done, and we haven't got a written document that says what we've agreed to and what we're paying?
So,
I'm trying to understand.
could you give some explanation?
Sure, if I could. So for example, our buses have Cummins engines. They're the original equipment manufacturer. We have a contract with Cummins to fix the turbo.
Right.
They're the only people that can fix it. It's only their parts. We have a contract with them which negotiates all the rates. We send the bus to them to get the turbo. They look at it, call us and say it's going to cost X to fix the turbo.
Right.
It's a verbal estimate, not written.
Right.
We say yes, go ahead, and because we've already negotiated our rates, they're the only supplier of those parts. They're the only people that can do that work, and it's not like I'm getting 3 quotes and going to the lowest quotes. It's either fix the Cummins engine or the bus stays broken. Could we get a written quote so that when the bill comes in 6 weeks from now that we compare it to make sure that when he said it was going to be 5 hours labor and $400 worth of parts, it was. Right now that's all being done verbally.
Right.
And so what the audit recommendation is that we get that documented.
Absolutely.
So that when the invoice follows, there's no billing errors.
You see my concern. So for example, 4 of the pistons, you needed 4 new pistons. And we agree that they're $1,000. Suddenly they come back, well, it was 8 in the end, and you're paying us $8,000 instead of 4. Well, it'd be nice to have a paper trail. I said, no, we all agreed on the, here's the written record. I mean, I just...
Agree, but they could also open up and find, oh, gee, not only did you need the blower, but something else went wrong. And so we need to understand that, you know, once they start the work, they may find something else.
You're making my point. That's irrelevant. That happens when I go to Canadian Tire as well. And they phone me and they go, I know what I gave you in writing, but it turns out you just happen to be my. It turns out you need new brakes as well. how much? Okay, put it on the invoice. I'm concerned that, I understand the rationale, but it's just standard business practice, you would think, in a technique, to say, here's the we read 4 pistons on this car, we agree the brakes have to be done. How do you fall back on?